everyone. Kya
Hey,
ho raha hai,
hey.
Sahil? How are you feeling?
Bus, all chill. I think it was an exciting day and we have two heroes that have run two ahead of the race. I think तो अब इन दोनों के ऊपर सारा focus रहेगा कल in the remaining 3 rounds.
हाँ.
Shri, like was it according to your expectations based on what happened today?
Not really, Sahil. Not at all. Not at all. I didn't think first of all that Raunak would have such a tough day today, and we had a decisive game in Arjun against Nihal, with Arjun losing with the white pieces. I think that was the most unexpected thing. You wouldn't expect Arjun to lose a game with the white pieces. So I think that was a big result in the scheme of things. Nihal scoring a major win. And I think Arvind has also been a slightly unlikely leader at the end of this day three. He's, of course, incredibly strong, super talented at his best. I think he has shown shades of being as good as Magnus. And he's always been that, but he has been, he's kind of lost his way post pandemic. He had a big drop in his rating. He didn't play as much as some of the others. Things were not going great for him. So I'm also very pleased to see him on the top, but also a bit surprised.
And looking at this day somehow, like Arjun, I think has no chance for first place. If I'm correct, does he?
Yes, I think that's safe to assume. He has almost no chance to get into the first place because there's a 6-point lead, and 6-point lead not just with one player but two players. So even if one player has a bad day, the other player is going to score 3 points out of the 9 possible points tomorrow. So I think for all practical reasons, it's a bit of a 2-horse race. Arvind, Nihal on top. Leon is playing against Arvind tomorrow with the black pieces, so that's a big game. If Leon wins, he catches Arvind directly. So I think that's why important game. And based on that, it will become clearer who's going to do what. What are your thoughts? What are your predictions?
Yeah, I mean,
your legendary predictions.
I am not sure I'm making predictions right now because it's very hard to judge. But I think one thing, as you said, कि ये इन दोनों में से कोई ना कोई जीतेगा. And so far, how Nihal has been playing, if I had to put money on one player, it will probably be Nihal, considering how well he has played. He finds out somehow these crazy ways, even in dead drawn positions. Even that rook and bishop endgame against Arjun at some point, it would be a dead draw, but he somehow confused matters and got the win. So he should be favorite, I think, somehow. But yeah, I mean, we've seen many surprises here, I have to say.
Oh yes, absolutely. I think it's been a tournament filled with surprises all around. And what has been your most surprising result so far, or the person who has impressed you the most?
I think Arvind has to be the guy. I mean, he's played really well in this tournament, regardless of. He's just run through and is in contention for the first place as well. And I mean, he's right. Yeah, of course, I think so. I'm trying to make sure if he's in contention. Yeah, so he should be in contention for place. And
let's also just, if we can have our standings up on the screen,
it
will just be a lot easier than.
He's the guy on top, right? I got confused between Leon and Arvind. Yeah, my bad. So he is the guy who's on top. So he's definitely in contention for first place. And so is Leon. And then it is Raunak as well. So Raunak definitely would not be so happy with his performance because he lost a couple game, I think. So if I think Chidambaram has to be the guy. Has to be the guy who surprised me for sure. For sure. I think I expected from Nihal. I know Leon as well, Raunak as well, Puranik as well. He's played in many tournaments, including the World Juniors. I remember he played so well. Arjun Erigesi, of course. Mitrava is also very strong. But Arvind, I think, has, topping the table after day 3. It's really awesome.
It's really awesome, but it's not so, I don't think we get to see him so much, and maybe uske wajah se thoda sa surpriser, but he's otherwise such a strong player. He's been national champion. And I think also just what we've been seeing, the kind of chess he's playing, aggressive, attacking. He's not been repeating moves when he's had the option to with the black pieces, just making his intentions very clear. So I'm very happy to see this mix. And, as Sri had pointed out in the broadcast, Ki Arjun probably doesn't have that big a chance to win this one, which means we'll have a new player this time. If you see the top 5, I wouldn't Of course, Nihal and Arvind, looking at the standings, it looks like they're the favorite, but I think anyone from the top 5 tomorrow can make it. For one match, it's 3 game points. So there's still a lot to fight for. And we're going to have a new player in the Champions Chess Tour. By the way, my chat thinks I have amazing OBS skills, and I'm just going to be fully honest here. Chat, I'm actually not handling the OBS. Full disclosure here, but thank you anyway. The one time I don't handle OBS is when my OBS skills are amazing. So yeah, it's really cool. And I'm just looking at this. I think, like you said, you're very surprised to see and happy to see Arvind at the top. I think Arjun's performance, we were all probably expecting it a little more. It's not been where we've seen him really shine. And the Arjun, as we know it, he's on 19 points currently. And I'm just wondering आपको क्या लगता है? Is it because he's already qualified? Is he not taking this tournament as seriously? वो जब भी ऐसे start करता है game, कैमरा पे आता है, it's like he's just woken up, barely showered, chill mode on. And I'm just thinking, is it because he's already won one event?
I certainly don't think so, Tanya. I mean, these guys are greedy weedies. They are insatiable. No amount of wins are going to be enough for them. But I think even they have limits on their energy levels, especially the mental energy, and you need a lot of motivation and mental energy to play well in these kind of events. And they have been constantly playing. Arjun, for example, look at his schedule. He played in Norway in April, and then played Sigeman & Co. right after. Oh, he went to Spain. Played 9 games in 5 days in Menorca. And then he played in Sigeman & Co. with less than a week's gap. And then he joined the training camp right after. And then with just 2 days break, he went to play in Sharjah Masters, which is again a super strong tournament. And it's just been a full schedule since April, and I think fatigue also takes bit of effect.
Yeah.
And of course, day one was not so good for him, and you always had somehow lagging behind, and to come back is much more difficult. Yeah, if you starting well is half the job done indeed. So Ronak has a very good start, and that really helps him now. So even after not having such a great day, he has a chance tomorrow still to win this, technically. So that's the thing. And Arjun lagged behind a little bit, but I think he should be happy overall. He came back from, being, I think he was literally at the bottom of the table almost, literally. So he's come back and he's doing well still.
I think he'll only be happy if he wins it. I'm sure he's not super pleased with the way things have gone.
Yeah.
But the reason I say that is especially because आज का जो उसका निहाल के साथ game था, ठीक है, he's playing with the white pieces. One just got the feeling that he got outplayed, to be completely honest here. Like Nihal, with the black pieces handling that Carlsberg structure, Arjun ended up with this weakness on b6, d4. And then even in the end game, it felt like a player like Arjun especially would put up massive resistance. And I think Sri makes a good point there that one can feel the fatigue. Because this is not usual. This is not normal for a player like Arjun to lose like this with the white pieces. Of course, you're playing with Nihal. Anything can happen, but it just looked too easy today.
Yeah, and also he's been struggling to close out some of these games where he's been in the driver's seat. He's had that pressure, but his opponents managed to wriggle away. Like, for instance, today's game against Ronak, he was there. He had it in his hand. But with Rook d5, it kind of slipped away. And also against Gukesh, although that game didn't count, it was certainly not a great sign that Arjun didn't convert that game.
Yeah. I just pulled up chat and I'm like, chat se bhi puchta hai kya ho raha hai? And the first thing I see is Madhav is saying Sahil is my first love. Chat apne hi level pe bata rahe kya ho raha hai. Actually, Tanmay has a really good idea that it would be great to have all the top 8 tomorrow for this after show, discuss position tricks. That would be very cool. Maybe we can try and get them tomorrow once the tournament's over, at least a few of the players to join us and give us their thoughts on all the stuff that's happened.
That would be a perfect after party.
है ना?
Yeah, true.
मजा आ जाएगा.
But I think somebody who's come second or third, they will not be in the best mood. That's the only reason I have, I think, of worrying. Like if somebody's come second, missed by a whisker, he'll be like, "हाँ यार, ठीक है यार, party भी कर लेंगे."
But it's an online event, and of course, everybody knows that the community wants to hear their thoughts, and people are following them. So I think in general that. But Sahil, that's an interesting point what you make, because Pele and Sri, you'd agree with this. Pele, if a chess player lost or didn't get the result they want, they wouldn't be interested in interacting at all. You're in your own mind zone, your own mind space. But I feel that's changing. That's slowly changing. And, people realize that, okay, it's a sport. And the tournaments ended, things have gone wrong. People are rooting for them. They're cheering for them for all these days and looking forward that kaun jeetega, kaun khelega Champions Chess Tour. So I feel that they also, despite results not going their way, they kind of want to come, and I feel there's a shift in the way players approach those situations compared to pre-pandemic.
I think so too, Tanya. I think they're certainly starting to open up a lot more. I agree with you there.
पता है आज I don't know, Sahil, of course he was streaming, but Sri ने एक story बताई. Whose game was it? This was I think Arvind's game, in which Sri, you mentioned that there was a novelty with this Queen D4 idea, which was actually played by Arvind today. I don't know if it's a novelty or not, but it's an interesting idea. And that idea was sent as fan mail. किसी ने fan mail भेजी थी Magnus को with that idea. And Magnus actually employed it against Wojciech nice. And won like a crazy game. And then that sort of, so it became it became quite popular. And we saw Arvind play that. So that was really an interesting story. And it reminded me of, what it reminded me of? You guys have heard of Chebanenko, right? Of course, Sri has heard of Chebanenko. Sahil, you've also heard of Chebanenko.
Yeah.
I don't know if chat has heard of Chebanenko, but Chebanenko was a grandmaster. Okay, I want to tell this story because it came to my mind during the broadcast, but मैं बोल नहीं पाई थी. तो मैं बोलूं क्या ये story? बहुत interesting है.
Sure.
Already, I think आपको पता होगा ये story.
Stories from you always welcome.
Yeah, I just feel, chat, this one's going to be a quick stream because Sri, of course, is Bewafa Sri and he's got other stuff to do right now. But we have a few minutes and I'll tell you what happened, okay? So I'd read about this and I thought this was so cool. Chebanenko is known for the opening Chebanenko in Slav, where you go A6. I don't know, Sri, if it's possible for you to show it. I know you're sharing your screen. If not, that's totally fine.
I can show it.
Okay, let's show it. Let's show it to chat then. Cool. Chat, this is the opening. D4, D5, C4, C6, Knight C3, Knight F6, Knight F3, A6. So Chebanenko is very famous for this opening. Okay? This opening gets his name from him. But there's one insane story where actually it was in the candidates, okay? The candidates which Fischer won eventually and went on to play the match against Spassky, right? So he was playing the finals against Petrosian of that candidates match. And Chebanenko had actually, in a letter, he had sealed a crazy novelty, okay, in the Sicilian. And he had sealed it and he had mailed it. And he had sent it saying that whoever wins the semi-finals of that candidates, Petrosian ke match mein jo bhi wo jeetega, please hand over this novelty. And it was an explosive novelty, like a mad novelty, okay? Eventually, Petrosian won that match. He received it as an email, and not an email, but as a mail, as a letter, as literally a letter. And Sri, maybe we can show that. You want to quickly show that? Because I have the book where I read this story. I'm very excited now.
Show what exactly?
This novelty that Chebanenko had come up with, and he had sent it in a letter.
But I don't know which one is that. I can put the moves as you tell me.
Yeah. Okay. So this was the novelty that Chebanenko. By the way, this is the book in which I read the story. It's my favorite chess book, and this was the novelty that Chebanenko had sent to be handed over as a letter to the winner of the semi-finals, who was Petrosian. And he was going to play the finals against Fischer. So this is how the game went, okay? I'll show you the novelty. So E4, let's start from the beginning. So Fischer played E4. Petrosian went C5, Knight F3, E6. D4, CD4, Knight D4, Knight C6, Knight B5, D6, Bishop F4, E5, Bishop E3, Knight F6, Bishop G5, Bishop E6, Knight 1 C3, A6, Bishop F6, G F6, Knight A3. ठीक है? यहाँ पर An insane novelty. Okay, this I'm talking 1971 ki baat hai, which had never been played before, handed over as a letter. And here Petrosian played the move that shocked the world. He played d5 here, and this is what was handed over to him as a letter. He played it against Fischer, and after e takes d5, it continues because ed5 is possible. And the point is, it's a fork, but ed5, you take bishop a3, ba3, queen a5, pinning the knight, queen d2, long castle, pinning the pawn so you can't take the piece, bishop c4, and the second part of the novelty which was given in the letter, rook h to g8. And this is a close to a winning position for black, close to a winning position for Petrosian. So Fischer might have never even won the candidates had he done the right follow-up. Next move में Petrosian ने ऐसे crazy कर दिया. यहाँ पे rook d1 हुआ, and bishop f5 was a big mistake. After rook d1, he had to go rook g2, and Fischer would be in big trouble. So this was a novelty जो letter से आई थी, but वो थोड़ा mess up हो गया Petrosian से, और वो हार गया फिर Fischer के साथ. But crazy scenes हो गए थे. I got reminded of this story when you mentioned about Magnus today.
D5 is impossible to see. I mean, in a real game, for anybody, you will not even consider for a second.
Yeah, and Sahil, we are talking about a time when no computers exist. You are finding things on your own on the board. And imagine that before a finals of a candidate, जब तुम world championship के लिए जा रहे हो, तुम्हारे हाथ में एक letter आता है with an explosive novelty which you can use against your opponent.
आज के ज़माने में लेटर आता तब भी बंदा हैरान होता है, लेटर कहाँ से आ गया भाई? उस जमाने में तो I can understand कि कैसा
letters ही नहीं आते आजकल, तो WhatsApp आते हैं.
But that's crazy. D5 is insane. Because दिमाग में, if you spend some time, you can of course realize the consequences, but सोचेगा ही नहीं बंदा कि भाई D5 कहाँ से आ रहा है.
True.
So this was the other reason for which Chabanenko was not known as much, but this was his story as well. So this is crazy that Magnus received it, and then Arvind played it against Abhijit, and he won that game. Yeah, today Arvind beat Abhijit, no?
I think so.
Chat में चल रहा है, मुझे भी letter चाहिए.
He won it.
सबको letter चाहिए भाई. You know, I actually miss it. I actually miss the days. I don't know if you guys have been old enough to receive actual letters, but I am. And I think letters की अपनी vibe होती है.
But I think जो chat पे letters चाहिए वो novelty वाले नहीं चाहिए. That is the issue. वो different तरह के letters है.
Chat को novelty letters नहीं चाहिए. पर मुझे it would be so cool ना, ऐसे game से पहले किसी का ऐसे WhatsApp आए that oh try this novelty out. Crazy हो जाएगा.
True.
There's something very romantic and sweet about handwritten. Sri, have you ever written one to anyone?
I have never written a letter. I don't think I received one either. But I have delivered letters of others.
Letters work more in these cases when you're trying to, when somebody's mad at you and they actually work, because they're like, oh my god, इतना effort डाला उसने यार, हाथ से लिखा है. शायद ये अब तुम माफ करना ही पड़ेगा.
Chad, this is actually some good advice, and I'm telling you, it always works. If you've messed up and done something you shouldn't have or hurt anybody, the best way around it is to write them a handwritten letter. ऐसे वहाँ पे वो है ना कि वैसे तो मैं सख्त लौंडा हूँ, पर यहाँ मैं पिघल गया.
Exactly. It's rare. Rarity is important, and nobody does it nowadays. So वही चीज़ है.
Exactly. But okay, coming back to the action here. So tomorrow is the final day. Tomorrow we'll know who qualifies for the Champions Chess Tour.
Indeed. And the main thing is somehow, if we had to guess somebody at the start of the tournament, we might have Nihal there. But as I said, Arvind's name would not have been there for me. So somehow I'm very pleasantly surprised with this. So, and Arjun, of course, will not be happy with my surprise here, but yeah, I think it's going to be a cracker of a last day for sure, because दो लोग बिल्कुल साथ हैं, same number of points पे, and they cannot be sure what's happening in the other game. And can they see the other games, by the way?
They can, I guess. The screen share is on, so they can if they want to, but I can't imagine a lot of people doing that.
Yeah, but
it's just very distracting.
Might, right? Last round, if they, for example, know what to do, like it might be a problem, right?
Yeah. Last round they might.
Last round they might do it.
True.
Yeah.
You know what I want to do before we wrap up today's discussion is take a look at the players that these guys are playing tomorrow, because it's all about their road ahead. So we've got 3 games coming, and like you were mentioning, let's start with Arvind, and I'm trying to see ki unka kinke saath hai. So Arvind has Leon tomorrow, which is a tough start to the day.
Tough match.
Then he's got Visak. I think there Arvind is a favorite 3. And Vantika, where again he's a favorite. So it all comes down to his start against Leon tomorrow, because the next 2 rounds he can go for a win.
True.
And
I
Leon
think
is lagging
perfectly summed
behind.
up.
He's lagging behind, so he has to win also. So he also wants to win at all costs. So it'll be a result for sure.
Good point.
I think relatively it's tougher for Nihal. No, he has 2 blacks.
Who's he playing?
Arvind has 2 whites. He starts against Mitrava.
Okay.
And then he has black against Karthika and Murli. And then he finishes off with white, but against Ronak.
Oof, I think his road ahead is definitely tougher. Huh?
Much tougher.
Anna?
For sure.
That's going, especially like playing Ronak, who also might be by the end of the day somewhere in striking distance. So also a very motivated Ronak. And definitely for Nihal, that's going to be a bit of a tough one. And who's on 3rd place currently?
I think Leon,
it's,
right?
Leon.
Yeah,
wow.
Leon.
Okay.
Leon.
So actually, Leon and Arvind, that's the big matchup for tomorrow when we start.
Yep.
And what's our prediction for that, by the way, guys?
Who has white, by the way?
Oh, good question.
I think that's very important here.
That's very important.
It's
Arvind.
Leon is black. Yeah, Arvind is white.
I think Arvind's path to first place is looking quite comfortable as compared to others. Like there's no doubt. And he has the white pieces in the critical match. And his last 2 rounds are relatively slightly easier than Nihal's. So, and Nihal has 2 blacks, as she said. So yeah, I will go with Arvind right now.
Yeah. I think Leon, if he wants a chance, he has to win the first game. His only shot is that. So, and the advantage of the first game is, right, that you can come really well prepared for it also. So I think it will come down to who is able to surprise who in the opening. Because I feel like the second and the third game, your preparation might not be as much.
And
is that a factor?
There can be some overconfidence ki pehla game hi khayal rakhna hai. Let me, last 2 rounds I can handle, and suddenly somebody in the second round comes with some crazy prep and you start losing that game. Because we saw Arvind, I think, lose to Aradhya, right? If I'm not mistaken. And
yes, exactly.
Happen. And it can happen. You might get overconfident. You focus on the first game itself, and then second, third game mein gadbad na ho jaye. Like he also has to stay balanced, because even if he wins the last 2 games, maybe a draw is good enough. Yeah, maybe it could be more than enough, because Nihal has a tough pairing ahead. So,
very tough.
So it might be more than enough to even take the draw. So he will have to calculate all these combinations.
And actually, even for Leon, it's a very tough road tomorrow, because he plays Arvind, then he plays Arjun, then he plays Harsha. So that's a very tough road ahead.
And he's already behind. So I think
he's already behind.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be it's going to be a tough battle regardless. And last round we might not know who's the winner. But considering the situation, I think just by probability, Arvind is the favorite for now.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, especially seeing the matchups that are ahead. By the way, what happens if there's a tie? Do we know? Maybe
it's the head-to-head. The first criteria is head-to-head, Tania, and then it becomes Sonebon Boja, I think.
And what happened between Arvind and Nihal was
London
a draw.
System. Yeah.
Okay, that's respect.
And then, second was what? What is the second tiebreak?
I think it's Sonebon Boja.
Oh, and then that we don't know what happens till the end in that.
No, it's a number of wins. It's the number of wins, and then it goes to. So number of wins, I think Arvind will take it. I don't even have to see the tournament results. Between Arvind and Nihal, it's likely that Nihal has been more solid and Arvind has had more decisive games.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a very tough fight, and I completely get it that Arvind and Nihal, it's between the two. Of course, there's an outside chance for the others, but looking at the pairings as well, Nihal has a tough day ahead. What does chat say? Chat ka apna hi chal raha hai, as usual.
But I think the thing is, there's also one thing ki Nihal somehow was the guy, right, who has been here at the top level for the longest. Somehow Arjun has, just kind of came out in the past 1 year. I think he's been popular, and so I think somehow he has that experience of crushing everybody. He's used to playing these GSCC tournaments and winning these events convincingly, even in the main events, going till the final rounds, literally. So he, as she said, he's the Hikaru of the juniors. So you can expect him to win. Yeah, you can expect him to win even 3 games in a row. It's totally possible for Nihal, and so he will give his best shot, I think.
Great day coming up. Ashi is saying, I feel a huge upset incoming tomorrow. I think the only huge upset would be if somebody who's not named Nihal and Arvind win it. Then I think it'll be a real shock.
Leon is still there, I think.
Leon also, Asri, he's got a very tough day ahead, and it'll be super impressive if he pulls it through, because he's got, he's playing Arvind, and then he's playing Arjun, and then he's playing Harsha. That's 3 very big games.
True, Tania.
Wow. All right. So that was quite a fun day of chess we had today. And finally, tomorrow, we know that Arjun is playing the next Champions Chess Tour. So, and you guys, of course, Sahil, you'll also be streaming tomorrow's event as well.
Yeah, most likely. Yes.
Okay. Amazing.
Final round to karna
hi padega. And we'll try and get some players also to join us afterwards if we can. That'll be super fun.
It'll be fun.
But thank you so much, Sahil, for joining in today, and Sri, you as well. And I know you guys have other things to do. I'm not going to name them what.
Why not?
Producer, cut. I'll probably just chill with chat for like 5-7 minutes, and thank you guys for joining in and giving your thoughts on the action.
Thank you so much, Tania. Thank you, Sahil. Bye. Thank you, chat.
What's up, chat? Okay, so the reason I wanted to stay back was because I also saw a really interesting question that why would you trust that? Yeah, Tanmay asked, how did he trust that novelty, which was that it was not from Fisher trying to trick him, and that Fisher might have a repetition. I don't know. I think our screen has, of course, gone completely crazy. Now we are back. And just very quickly, I think, okay, Sri is asking if the screen share. I think, Sri, you can switch off the screen share. We should be fine without that. Okay, so the thing was, right, the game that we just showed you guys, when you have that kind of an explosive novelty, when you have that situation where you see D5, you go for it. And of course, Jab Petrosian must have received that letter. He must have checked it with his team, also seen it. And the story goes that he literally received it a day before he was supposed to start. So I'm sure it was a lot of overnight checking happening. But when you see a move like D5 is possible now in that structure, it's so tempting to go for it. Then you have Rook G8. Or kya hua, wo end ki position, I don't know if you guys remember or not, he had to take that pawn on G2. But instead, unhone kharab chal chal di, bishop F5, and all the advantage went. Later on, Petrosian was actually asked that, why didn't you just take the pawn on G2? Like the next move. Why didn't you go for G? And he had no answer. He just couldn't explain why he didn't take it. So it was quite a crazy story. And I see chat mein tum log discuss kar rahe ho, letters kab likhe the and all that. Mujhe maza aa raha tha padhne mein. No, it's really not, right? It's not cheating, because it's a novelty that you've received. Right now, we have preparation. We have teams of people who are preparing opening preparation. This is also in some ways at that time, this was the opening preparation. Ideas, human ideas coming to mind. And us time, because engines nahi hote the, there was so much richness and so many things to be discovered. So I can just imagine, can you imagine like Petrosian receiving this at the big day with playing Fisher the next day? Which eventually Fisher won that match and went on to become the world champion. We all know that. He panicked, very possible. I don't know what happened, but apparently he was not able to give the answer of why he didn't go rook into G2. We might have had a very different chess history had he converted that game. All right, guys, I think we've had such a long day with so much commentary, and it's always super nice to just come and sort of wind down chatting with Sahil, who's also streaming. the tournament and Sreen, and with you guys. So super nice to chat with all of you. I might do a stream later on as usual. Let's see if I'm not too sleepy. I'll also ask Sahil. By the way, I don't know how many of you actually caught our stream yesterday. We did a bit of calculation training. बहुत मजा आया था मुझे. I didn't get the passing marks that were required, but you know what, chat, I'll get it soon. I think we'll have this thing where I really want to score 90%. That's my aim. That I don't think I'll be able to stream too much next month. So this month, before I leave for my next tournament, I want to crack Sagar's test and get 90% in that. That's the plan. Yeah, it was super, absolutely, Rami. It was a very complex chess problem. And then when I got to know that it was played in under 12, it was so amazing. But at the same time, I was really shocked because it really looked like this was a game by two grandmasters. So dekhte hain. I'll hopefully join you guys tonight as well for a late stream. Abhi meko khana khane jana hai. And chat, thank you once again for sticking around. And we'll see you tomorrow for the final day of the MPL Indian Chess Tour. And aa jana, because we will have our next player who qualifies to play against Magnus, to play against Anish, to play in the main event of the Champions Chess Tour. So a really big day for these young talents from India. So I will see you there. Good night.